lovers of pop culture, I have to introduce here on Kensil Culture our host, ladies and gentlemen, the sentimentally challenged man of the hour. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for comedian John Kensil.
Hey, that's the legendary wit right there. And I'd also like to give a shout out, thank you very much to the multi-talented in music, art, culture, Mr. Greg Lynn, who did that guitar. In fact, he did all the music in that.
Greg Lynn is a very nice man, and he's always has something to say out there, and his word, because he is so talented in many different ways.
Oh, he is. He plays the guitar, the drums, the bass, the synthesizer, and that, and he plays the swinette.
What do you call a guy with no arms and no legs who
What?
plays the guitar, the drums, the bass, the piano?
I don't know.
A guy with no arms and no legs. Stump the band.
And that's it for this week's Kensil.
I'm sorry if there's anybody out there who plays a lot of musical instruments.
Oh, look at that. We are now on the air. You can watch us on video, on live on wildfirepodcasting.com.
We look super white. Okay.
I was born that way. But I just want to say we had a fun week last Saturday. Was it Saturday night or Friday night?
It was Friday night, yes.
Friday night. The legendary Wid next to me, we had to do a benefit that was double sad.
It was double sad, but it was also it was a good time had by all. So
It was incredible because here's why it's double sad. It was for a woman whose house burnt down, and then her husband passed away like a week later.
Well, that's the double whammy right there.
And
she was a very nice woman, and I'm glad that all her friends came around, and they took a joke good, too. I picked, it's like we have a friend, Rich Voss, who got in trouble for doing something up in Canada, not being, I guess, sensitive to the indigenous people who were in the audience, and at all costs they were.
I got that story right here. I'll bring it up in a minute. I guess it's
Okay.
incredible. But
the people who I was picking on, they sort of went with it because I guess I would just make fun of their shirts and say Foreman Mills, and
it was very funny, and it was a crazy show because I said to one of the woman's friends, I go, I'm very sorry that your friend lost her house and her husband went to heaven, and her friend said,
"You didn't put it that way, did you,
No,
John?
no.
You're a little bit more seven,
But her friend said
You said your husband went to wherever.
Yeah. Well, her friend said it was even worse than that. I go, what? And she said, the woman's house and husband.
Yeah.
She was up till 3 a.m. dyeing her hair for the benefit. Right.
She looked very nice, and it was very nice, and it's touching. We have to do, we got certain sicknesses. Sometimes we have to do benefits for where a lot of people in the audience are inflicted with this sickness.
Yeah.
I know, and it sometimes it's it's a little hard to bear. It's you're up there making jokes about something that is terribly it's tragic,
like a broken taint. But they
you're like a bad kid in school. That's the sound of a taint breaking.
So we, at the show, our friend Jason, who booked it, the
Good old
opening
Jason.
the opening
Good old
act
Jason.
is a great guy named Justin Gonzalez.
Justin Gonzalez is a opera singer,
and he's a professional Freddie Mercury impersonator, singer, and he sounds just like Freddie Mercury. And so he opened the show up with that song, "Tie Me Down" by Queen.
Tie your mother down.
In our show, he started off
Tie your
with
mother down.
Tie your mother down.
Yeah.
And he destroyed with it. Holy crap! His voice was so booming, and in this catering hall, and there's like 75 people there, and he just, oh my God, tie your mother down, tie your mother down, and there's, oh my God, it was just like it. And then the second comedian goes up, Cody, who's a very nice guy. He's my friend. So I'll say the truth. Hey, he couldn't have been any more dirtier. It was dirty, licking body parts and dirty.
Sometimes I'm glad for my. I don't like to hear other comedians get laughs, so I don't always hear their routines.
So I was apprehensive because when I had to go up before you, I'm like, I had to follow a guy breaking wine glasses with the power of his voice, and then a guy talking about licking every body part ever. Right? I'm like, oh, and the crowd was going crazy for it. So,
You know what? It gave me a sense of empowerment because I saw that there's this great opera singer right here singing with what's basically just a backtrack of a karaoke thing, and I'm crazy for karaoke.
So he starts off with the Queen song, "Tie Your Mother Down," then
Okay.
the Licky McLarry Licky Lot.
Okay.
Right. Then I'm like, oh, we got to cleanse the palate for the show. There got to be some break in between. So the singer went up again, Justin, and he goes, I will now sing the song from the Olive Garden commercial. And he sang "Oh So Mio, Oh So Mio," and the crowd went explosively crazy. He was just destroyed.
Because the opera is not something that a lot of people know about,
No.
especially this day and age. It's like asking people about studying high button shoes or some sort of or propeller planes.
Yeah. Well, but
it's out of style. But what happened?
But they did appreciate it because they knew the song from the Olive Garden commercial, right? Right. Instead of knowing "Oh So Mio,"
nothing says Italian like Olive Garden.
Right.
Even even the people there. And there's on YouTube you can look at all sorts of bad things that happen there.
And I was really apprehensive about going up after that. I'm like, oh my God, right? But I had a very good time. I put my puppet out, Mr. McGonagall, and he filthed it up. So then
John gets up there with a small little mechanical puppet, and he puts on a mask, okay, like a COVID-19 mask, okay, and he does ventriloquism with this on, and he tells 3 jokes that would make the late Gilbert Gottfried blush.
They're real dirty jokes. Real filthy.
And it's like an alter ego for John because John, all the years I've known you, you've been dirty once or twice, once or twice this show so far. It was very enjoyable to see him do ventriloquism with a covert mask.
What I did too is I accidentally had like 4 of these puppets by accident, and I went on stage and I said, "Oh, I left my ventriloquist puppet at home. Does anybody have one in the audience?" And I had 4 plants in the audience. I go, "I have one.
Plants in the audience, meaning he handed out puppets, ventriloquist puppets to 4 different people. Who, when John asked for a puppet, it was like, "I'm Spartacus." Like, "I have one," and then it got into like a little challenge and was hilariously funny because of the over.
So Wid goes up. Now I don't know. I don't want to say the same word twice because it ruins the joke that you said.
Okay.
So you know how when you tell a joke, you don't go instead of punchline. It's like, so he jumped in the river. So but you don't say, so the guy's walking by the river and there's a river's right next to him, and then he jumps. You don't say the same word.
The river.
In the punchline. Yeah.
That's stream of consciousness.
Kill, and
take that to the bank.
So God. So Wid has a box of Tide laundry detergent.
The tide is turning.
And he spins it around
tide,
the air.
Low tide.
And he goes, the tide's turning.
Tongue
high
tide.
tide, low tide, tongue tide. And he throws on the ground because I'm not standing on a soapbox. And every Tide joke you could think of, right? Then we took the box of Tide laundry detergent and he walked over to the guy who sang, who I mentioned earlier in the show, and put next to the guy who sang right next to his head and goes, "Look, soap opera."
That got the biggest laugh of the night.
That was hilarious.
It was because he was sitting right next to us, and they were having dinner right next to us at a table, and very obvious he's a large man with a, and I said, "Oh, look, they're performing Aida." Okay, which, how many operas do we really know?
And but it was a very fun,
and Justin is so talented, and
oh my God,
with his Queen show, I told him. He opened the show with George Gershwin's "I Got Rhythm."
Oh yeah,
I've got rhythm.
Also that song is a little bit New Hopey for that room.
Well,
but they loved it.
Yeah, and it was Gershwin, and so you could see he wrote that for Ethel Merman.
But it was all like roofers in the audience of people with neck tattoos and Van Halen tramp stamps and stuff.
You fit right in because you wear those sleeveless shirts. And,
I got rhythm.
Smell of tar.
What a rotten thing to say.
What?
I smell of tar.
For a roofer. That's what I meant. No wonder you're shingle.
It was shingles night at the place. Just for 1 second. I want to play something for you. I gotta find it. I want to play you Justin actually singing about the show.
Isn't it great that you can just you could be your own engineer now, John? I mean, and here he is, and he's his own A&R man by
when did he record
artist
that?
and repertoire.
When did we do the show in?
He's asking me.
Oh, that's not it. That's not it.
John,
get rid of this.
John, get off Red Tube and get back on the air, all right?
When did we do that
Holy
show
mackerel.
with Jason? Justin.
Justin, I've known Justin for a long time, Justin Gonzale, and he has always been a trained singer. But when he came out with the Queen thing, I was very surprised because it's a real Queen. It's the whole band, and they do they do the greatest hits, Bicycle, and in England, I was over in England just after he had passed away, and it was like a saint. Every place that would even places you remotely wouldn't think were all goodbye, Freddie, you'll always be alive. The Queen is dead, and But there was so much Freddie, and over here they were sort of big, but they weren't. They weren't at the the Rolling Stones or the Beatles, but and they're much more of an English band, and they were very, very. It was a bigger celebration than the Queen is having right now. Okay. Okay. How about the Queen and Queens?
Wait, when did we do that thing for Jason?
I'm not sure, John.
Oh, here he is.
I didn't see you there. Make sure you check out the Kensil Culture podcast.
Wow, is that like we got an endorsement from a celebrity?
Now, if John would have just emailed that to me, we'd have it ready.
I'll do it later.
Yeah, instead of John, you're right on the thing.
Hey, Wig.
Hey, I think that since you have that phone in your hand, I think it's about time that once again we hear from Mr. comedian John Kensil's Tweets of the Week. Here it is, once again, Tweets of the Week with John Kensil.
Believe me, I do take my time. I mean, I skip.
It's timing, John.
Hey, I know I'm a little late to the game, but my review of the movie Wonder Woman, it's nothing but Captain America with a Kohl's charge card.
Ooh, they put Linda Evans or Linda, whoever she is, together with Roy Rogers. They might have had an affair. Wow. Wonder Woman and Roy Rogers.
My mom asked me to bring home Honey Nut Crunch and Fruity Pebbles. So I walk in the front door with these two old glow wrestlers. Hey,
we need conga drums for that.
I need to be educational in my tweets. So, FYI, a little fact for you. When they first made Coca-Cola, it contained ground-up circus dwarves.
I got one without circus dwarfs, and I felt shorted.
This is true.
It was only 7-Up.
This is a true story. There was a famous Canadian wrestler named Renee Goulet.
Okay.
He had blonde hair. He wrestled.
A lot of Goulets up there.
And he had a real Frenchman's name, but he took Robert Goulet's last name. But his name was Renee Goulet. And on the back of his tights, he had stitched in Sergeant Goulet because he was in the Canadian Army. He had Sergeant Goulet on the back of his black shorts. And my friend Paul Kelly's mom saw it and said, "What's his name say? Sergeant Toilet?" And my friend said, "Shut up, Mom. What are you, stupid?" And she threw a wooden spoon at him.
Is that a true story,
Yeah, it's a
John?
true story.
Okay. I like your true anecdotes where, people throw things at you, your friends. And
Hey, I heard Kim Kardashian is having another baby with that blonde-haired Pete Davidson. Kim Kardashian's story is that she's supposed to be having a kid with Pete Davidson.
What did she see in? What did
I
they
don't
see
know.
in the?
I don't-
Well, I guess
Just-
you never know. I mean, they're up there with the uber rich, and
Just think, in 16 years, that baby can drive Grandma Bruce to Zumba class at the Y.
you are so mean.
All right.
She's got a lot of baggage, that Kim Kardashian, and that I tell you. Kanye West is going to, he's going to make a stink down the road. Wait do you see? He's going to make a stink down the road because he's already made a stink, and we see how unstable he is, and we'll hear about how unstable he is when we get into that.
He's going bonkers. I'm friends on Facebook with a lot of older comedians, like people who were popular in the 60s and 70s, but they're on Facebook. So these guys are like in their 70s. And do you ever see a comedian? They haven't aged since. I mean, they haven't gotten out of that time period of 1970.
Oh yeah, they're still doing Nixon jokes.
Exactly. That's what I say.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's what they say. They go, I always say, this is them, my impersonation of them. I always say, while they're wearing a tuxedo T-shirt, I always say, Lenny Bruce and George Carlin, man, they were the truth tellers, man. Right? And then they put on their Groucho nose and they recite lines from Monty Python, and they drink Boone's Farm wine in the woods, and they talk about seeing Mort Saul at the Purple Onion when no one knew who he was. It's not really a joke, but that's a true story.
We know comedians it's just as sad when because in our business there's different kind of comedians, but there's a comedian who always makes fun of their large size, and these are obviously are large size comedians, and they lose the weight and they're still doing the
I know people did that. Yeah,
and it's
they're stuck because it was an easy laugh, and they're still doing it. And the guy weighs like 140 pounds. And he grabs the microphone stand. Let me move this so you can see me.
And they always do a joke about getting caught on the water slide some way.
Also, if we did a research right now, every single, I'll say it, fat comedian, male or female, they somewhere in their act there's a joke dealing with water and something stuck in their asses. I know a comedian, Jimmy C. I'll say his name, not his last name. He goes, yeah, he's fat. He goes, yeah, the other day I went water skiing. My fat ass kept hitting the water. When I got home, I passed a carp. All right.
How about the one about I went to court?
Oh, another fat guy, a good friend of mine too. He's a great guy. He goes, yeah, I spent the day in court. 1, 2, 3, food court. And another one, Jeff Parami, he passed away, but
God bless Jeff Parami. He was a host of the burlesque down at the Borgata.
He goes, I went down one of those water slides in Wildwood, and I got stuck in the middle of it. I had to go to the ER and get 4 kids taken out of my ass. That's what they would get, right?
Wrecked them.
Yeah, nearly killed them, right?
I'm sorry, Joe.
We
went there, but
Mary Fran. She goes, I'm taking a shower. I turn around and the shower curtain gets caught in my ass. I had to call my daughter. Sure. All right. They pull it out. All right. But it's water and ass and things coming out of it. My 6-year-old nephew, Ludlow.
I didn't know you had a 6-year-old nephew.
He said this, Uncle John, I have a joke for you. How come Frankenstein was a bad dancer? 'Cause he had 2 left feet. And I said, the monster didn't have a name, you little douchebag. And then I bought the joke off him for $200.
That's like Larry Fine. You can't talk to kids like that.
I'm warning you. He's so stupid. He got hit by a parked car.
There was a time where the kids would ask, because they had so many curlies, the kids would ask, hey, Larry, where's the real Curly? Where's Curly?
I'm sorry, kid. Curly's dead. And that's a true story. In the 60s, when Curly died in 1952.
Yeah.
Then he had Joe Besser, the sissy Curly. Then he had Curly Joe Dorita. Well, little kids would go to see the thing they're going to see because of reruns on TV. Oh, there's Curly, and looks like a guy who works in a cigar store. Comes out with a crew cut, and he's dumpy looking. And the little kids would ask Larry Fine.
He was the worst Curly ever. Curly Joe Dorita.
Yeah, where's Curly? And Larry would look over and go, Curly's dead, kid. Sorry. Right? And
that's the Philadelphia attitude he had.
I'm a big guy on dates. On dates.
Oh, is this a new tweet here? You'd like
Yeah.
to go out on dates?
No. Like a calendar.
Oh.
Hey, I heard that Pamela Anderson is now living with Hep C. I
Okay.
thought, oh great, she's dating rappers now. 13 years ago, Susan Boyle came in second on Britain's Got Talent. Susan Boyle.
Susan Boyle, yes, it's sort of a homely looking, or
Big-
not
big-
homely, but sort of average looking a housewife-ish English woman who happened to have a voice that was.
Well, after she came in second, she's a big hulking woman. After she came in second, she screamed, "Susan Smash!" And she ran outside, started biting car tires.
What? Thank you for that. What was that? She was what?
FYI, Dolly Parton wrote Jolene and Pac-Man Fever the same day. I never told anybody
She
this.
didn't write Pac-Man Fever. That's not a country song.
I never told anybody this, but my instead of Canada, my uncle during the Vietnam War, he ran off to Connecticut.
Oh,
And now every time he sees Mystic Pizza, he has flashbacks. Wid,
let Saigons be Saigons.
you're starting to annoy me. I have. Wid, did I ever tell you what happened one time when I went to a Christie's auction?
Christie's Auction House, one of the biggest, the biggest auction house in the world.
I
Very
said-
elite.
I said, before I purchase this Fabergé egg, my good man, may I ask, is it dishwasher safe? What? Get your hands off me. Don't you know who I am?
Didn't they know you were yoking?
Yes. Oh, good God.
Fabergé. I saw the
It's over.
Fabergé. I saw the collection of Fabergé eggs that Malcolm Forbes had on display. They're very interesting. They were made for the Russian family, the Tsar's family.
Some news for you.
Oh yeah.
Dollar Tree is now selling alcohol in 1,000 of its locations. Unfortunately, it will be Flubweiser and Miller Lite.
Hey John, why do you talk about? How come you talk about Dollar Store? Okay, Dollar Tree. Okay, and alcohol when you're talking about. I don't do alcohol, and I haven't had $1 in a long time.
I was at a Q&A with famous actor William
I
Daniels.
don't care about your sex life.
Yeah. I was at a Q&A with famous actor William Daniels.
Oh,
Everybody
okay.
knows who he is.
Yeah.
So I said to him, "Hey, William Daniels, who everybody knows,
Okay.
did it take long for you to get into that 1993 Pontiac Firebird costume on Knight Rider?" And he said, I was also on St. Elsewhere. So I said, "Oh, really? Were you the voice of the ambulance?" And then he told me to get out of the bathroom. Okay, I tried.
I like the ambulance.
Exactly 12 years ago today.
Okay.
We lost Peter Graves, Art Linkletter, Dennis Hopper, and Gary Coleman. And they always say celebrities always go in 3.5s. If only Gary Coleman would have passed the same day as Zelda Rubinstein from Poltergeist. That lady.
Yeah.
This
okay.
house is clean.
Yeah.
All right. They could have, just used one casket.
I'm gobstopped on that. Okay.
I don't like cursing through the air, but
No, but you make child mortality jokes. What kind of demon are you?
wait, my friends come with the Karate Kid.
Yeah.
So I went to my local where I take my karate at, and I
Okay.
saw shit all over the dojo floor. So I asked my sensei, "Why's there shit all over the dojo floor?" And Master Cleanse said, "Beats me."
You see, because when you cleanse, that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, when I was in the Marines,
Yeah.
I was at boot camp at Paris Island,
Yeah.
and the DI said, he told us all we'd be going through Marine Corps training. And then
Okay.
he said, "Any questions?" So I raised my hand, and he said, "Yes." And I said, "Do you think Superman swallows a lot of bugs when he's flying around?" And they threw me the F out.
Well, hey, I didn't want you to say anything bad about, because my sister went out with, a guy in the Army,
Yes.
and she went out with a guy in the Navy,
Yes.
but she was rotten to the core. Okay? So, I find that very, very nice that they threw you out. They should have thrown you out.
I bought my soda right here at a 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
And when I was in there, I saw a 1-year-old baby walk into the 7-Eleven, and he bought 2 cigars and a Monster Energy drink. And I said, wow, I've never seen that before. And the baby said, what? And I said, a baby wearing an Ed Hardy T-shirt. That shit went out like 20 years ago.
A 1-year-old in the 7-Eleven?
Yes.
Yeah, and if you hit him, he would have cried. You know how he would cry?
Hell.
Wah, wah.
Hey, Ray Leota passed.
He would have wah, wah. Get it?
So I went outside.
Oh, sheets.
Sheets. When Ray Leota died, I was so upset. I ran outside and I poured a 40 of ragu on the sidewalk for my paisan. So I went home and I watched A Bronx Tale, but he wasn't in it.
Now you got to stay. Okay. Now you can't leave.
When people say, "Oh, I hate the Beatles," do they mean
I have a button that says "Helps me about the Beatles," and I
But-
just got that.
But when a lot of people say, "Oh, I hate the Beatles," I go, "Do you mean the music or just Ringo?" My girlfriend.
I thought you were going to go or the Bugs.
My girlfriend.
The Bugs committed suicide. Or
The Bugs did.
Yeah, insecticide. Okay, I'm sorry.
My girlfriend keeps calling me crazy. Well, that's why I think she's yelling out of that pit. Hey, don't get the wrong idea. She cleans septic tanks. I don't know what this Angry Birds is. Sorry. I don't have a radio. I can't keep up with all these rock and roll outfits.
Angry Birds.
Oh, look, I just got a message online here. I did a podcast without you.
Okay.
I got and it says, "Hey John, thank you for being on our podcast. You are our best guest." And you know what the name of the podcast is?
What?
It's called "Everyone We Interview is a Giant Asshole."
You think you could squeeze me on that?
I paid $800 to see Mike Tyson on Broadway.
Well,
On Broadway.
800?
Yeah, and all he did was talk about his trip to the zoo using finger puppets, and then he taught us all how to impersonate a duck with Pringles.
He has a face tattoo. How could you take his word?
Hey, all right, the last one I'll do. All right.
Thanks for announcing that, John.
Real quick, though. Every time I hear someone yell out, "Help, I'm stuck in this well,"
Help, I'm stuck in a well.
I don't respond to them because that's beneath me. Anyway, my last one right now.
You're not well.
Had to get that one in.
There's the last one. My high school football team was called the Raiders,
Okay.
with an attacking stereotyped Indian logo. So they rightly changed it not to be offensive.
Oh, yeah. You have
And-
to be like that.
And the new logo is the disgruntled mailman with water balloons filled with battery acid.
Can you fill water balloons with battery acid? Because that's my new project.
And that's it for this week's tweets.
All right.
But there you go. That's, Johnny the K right there. Johnny the K with his tweets.
What, you have to watch what you're saying now, John. Tell about our friend. What happened to our friend?
Well, this is going to lead right into that. About Rich?
Rich
All right,
Voss.
But this is going to lead into that. All right. Now, this is from 1986. There was
He's
a
been
TV.
doing it for that long.
Well, it's an article I just found. There was a TV show on called Family Ties, and the nerd character was Skippy, played by Mark Price,
Right.
whose dad was a famous comedian. I don't know his name though. It wasn't Price. It was another name. Well, he started doing comedy in 1986, so he's younger. He must have been
I
doing it.
worked with Skippy.
Very nice guy. Okay. Now, this is in Jackson Township, Ohio, not Jackson Township, New Jersey. Well, he's performing at a club, okay, and I guess he was the feature act. Oh, and it says Skippy, who just turned 18, is hip, fresh, and unafraid to dip into off-collar but inoffensive material from time to time. His relaxed, easy manner regularly involves the audience in his act, Particularly enjoyable are his efforts to include some local color in his material. He doesn't dwell on family ties, but no, that's not even funny. All right. So hopefully his squeaky clean image won't mar what looks to be a very, very promising career in stand-up comedy. But he was only featuring. All right. Now this is 1986. All right.
Yeah, I was around then. He used to play at the in Philadelphia at the Comedy Works on Chestnut Street,
Right.
123 Chestnut Street.
He's a famous guy, veteran comedian. And this is 86. You could never do this today. The headliner is Steve Smith, another young L.A. cat who's on tour at Mark Price. Smith is hysterically funny with a seemingly endless supply of first-rate material. Like Price, he puts off an off-putting attitude, but is refreshing himself. Now, here's the part I want to talk about. Some of his memorable bits are pokes at Sylvester Stallone, McDLT commercials, plus impersonations of a gay fisherman and a proctologist tossing his salad. Right, and
I'm not saying nothing here, John. That's even for back then. That's a little risque, especially for back. Well, I guess I don't know.
And
those guys, they had problems. Skippy. I think he was picked on. And as he matured, he had a name like Skippy.
I know.
And at least he didn't have a name like Legendary Wid, where he could mature into.
Well, you are legendary. Everybody knows who you are. Years ago, Wid was telling me earlier he grew up in Middle Jersey, North Jersey.
It's in the middle of New Jersey. Yeah. It's a small town that I was brought up in called Cranford. Okay, you might have heard about it. Mark Twain once visited and called it the Venice of New Jersey, okay, because we had this meandering Rahway River going through our town, and people would, and up to, a couple of years ago, we always would have canoes on the river and big festivals around the river.
Where's Whitney Houston from?
What?
Where's Whitney Houston from?
Whitney Houston, she was from, like, West Orange or something.
How about Jeffrey Ross? Was he from who else?
Jeffrey Ross is from Union, New Jersey.
No one's from Cranford?
No, the only our claim to fame right there. We are we had in Cranford, New Jersey, the S from the S&H Green Stamps, Sperry. He was from there. Okay, that was years ago. Okay, the top man of the Atheists of America. He's from that town, and at one time, a very famous actor, Mr. Ray Leota, the late Mr. Ray Leota. He died in his sleep recently. And he, a great actor, a lot of fun, always looked a little sickly. And, so it's a surprise, but it's not a surprise like, Bob Saget or somebody like that.
If you look at the past couple of years before he passed away, he did look thick, pasty, bloodshot eyes. I don't know if he had good circulation or he smoked. I don't know. No, he did a commercial for Chantex. He was he became like a lumbering, like what's going. If you watch the.
He looked like he didn't go out too much. He was very pasty looking. And even in when he was a prisoner, he was a perfect prisoner for the.
Did you watch the Sopranos prequel, The Many Saints of Newark?
I saw parts of it, and my brother, we were changing between Alfred Hitchcock and that. But at one time, the person Ray Leota, he worked at a pizza parlor in my hometown in the early '70s. And it was right across from St. Michael's Church, where good Catholic boy would know. And John, I don't think I ever went in there, okay, because it was a shady-looking place, okay, and it was it was nobody went there. It was like on the other side of town. You had to. Really
what's funny too about him too is people identify him as being Italian from the movies. He was adopted. He's Scottish.
Yeah.
If you look at his face, he's really Scottish looking with the big blue eyes and the spiky black hair.
Well, I never got to see him. But there was an article after he passed away in I believe in this, John. I don't know if you do, but the New York Post is like the Bible to me.
Me too.
Okay, the New York Post goes beyond, the National Enquirer or any New York Post or New York Times or anything. It is and I feel that it mentioned Cranford and it said that, and it said there was girls that would line up to go see him.
Yeah, it's. I read that he sent them an autograph picture. It was hanging in the place.
So years later, I'm in Las Vegas. I'm playing the MGM, okay, and Bobby Slayton is doing a movie. The movie is called
The Rat Pack.
The Rat Pack, in which Ray Liotta plays Frankie Sinatra, and and our friend Bobby Slayton, the bulldog of comedy, very funny man. He played Joey Bishop, Philadelphia's own Joey Bishop. So I meet him, and we're drinking or doing, something. And, he goes, come on, you want to meet Ray Liotta? So I said, sure. So I got to go over and meet him. And it was the first time in my life that I had to almost stop. And he had the most piercing blue eyes that I ever saw. I mean, it was scary. It was like he had mascara on or something like that, or was some sort of Marvel superhero or
like
some
a
sort.
husky.
But he was cordial for, just meeting a comedian off the street, and and then he went back to gamble. But
if you look at his like IMDb profile, he worked a lot. He worked constantly. His body of work's 150 appearances. I just saw, like, if you watch him in that Many Saints in Newark, he plays twin brothers. One brother's in jail, one's on the street.
That's where he was born, in Newark. Or that's where he was brought up.
He looked like a birthday cake with eyes, like all pasty. He was just
it was a strange, confliction between the pasty skin and the piercing.
And I saw he was wearing a hearing aid.
Blue eyes.
Wearing a hearing aid. He was only 67.
He didn't have ear piercings.
And I also think he had the spiky black hair. But then a couple years ago, I think he started wearing like a good wig. He had his hair was totally different. But a lot of good movies. But
that was a perfect scene for that. That was he was a perfect character in that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
It was like when Dennis Hopper played in Blue Velvet. He was perfect in that role. And I think that Ray was perfect in his role, and his wife. They looked like a couple. Karen,
my friend Eric Lydon, who's a very smooth, very good comedian on stage. He acts out when his wife spends too much money. Mm-hmm. He's like, all of a sudden I turned to Ray Liotta from Goodfellas. I'm like, hey, Karen, that was all our money. Karen, what's all? And
it didn't win Best Picture. Something really stupid won the Best Picture.
Dancing with Wolves.
Yeah, is that what won? Instead of Goodfellas?
Yeah.
I never saw Dancing with Wolves, and
No, it's funny. There's
I stayed away in droves.
It's like it's like a Western epic. And he befriends the Indians. But a lot of people compare that. There's a lot. It's very similar to the movie Avatar. Okay. A guy goes live with the indigenous people and becomes one of them, and saves them from the evil guys.
Native son. There's, that's
pink flamingos.
Assimilating into different cultures. That's what the Star Trek people do. No, I'm used to John Ford sort of westerns, John Wayne, and I'm sort of I like Gunsmoke, and
that's going to lead up to our next super story.
Okay, what's that, my friend?
The United States is not the only country with indigenous Native Americans. Canada is full of them. It's full of them. It has a large population of
all the names are Native American and when unexplored. Who's going to go up there? It's cold.
When Wid started out doing comedy, he befriended a young comic named Rich Voss, who I like. I know the guy. He's a very his character. He's like Bob Levy. He's like Dice Clay. you know what you get when you have him on a show. He's in your face,
Right.
forward, shockingly funny. And
He's with the New York crowd. He's with the New York comedians. He's
yeah, and he's
they sort of beat him up a little bit because he's not as he's a little bit more guttural.
Well, yeah, but he reminds me like he's it's shockingly funny. Right?
He always does good. He's out there and he can be controversial at times. He was because he talks about his past addictions and he talks about
his kids and stuff, and
being married in a tough sort of New Yorky way that was very popular. Maybe before. Me and you and and LBG and everything else that came up within recent years, and his act has he still has
residual
sort of moments of which we all do of inappropriate behavior.
Yeah,
and jokes,
And I'm not like attacking anybody, but that's what it is when you go see him. You can't go there thinking he's going to have a halo and wings on and playing a harp, right? He's billed as an R-rated comedian, X-rated comedian. The media today is so desperate for a story, they'll find somebody to be offended by something, and they'll focus on that one person as if there are 1,000 people. Well, Rich was in Canada at a place called Rumors Comedy Club in Winnipeg. Mm-hmm. Did you ever play up there in Winnipeg?
Rich Voss is from Durag. He's from the next town over from Cranford, my hometown.
Oh, yeah.
So I knew him very young. Him and Dennis Ross, the late Dennis Ross, a very funny comedian.
Well, it says, Rich was there this past weekend up in Winnipeg, right? And I can't pronounce this word. Ojibway. Ojibwa woman.
Yeah. That's a tribe of Native Americans, right?
Okay.
Native Canadians.
I say Native Americans or North America, right?
Yeah.
She said a woman told the reporter she was one of 30 people that walked out of Rumors Comedy Club due to a number of racist and homophobic comments they heard from the stage, right? Another woman said she was immediately turned off by comedian Rich Voss's set, which was targeted toward harassment of a table full of indigenous women. All right. One of the things he said was, "Listen, lady, I'm not your sponsor. You need to go to your next AA meeting." And then wow, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. And then he said, "Hey, there's a talent show coming up. Maybe you ladies could come up and make dream catchers."
What? He made fun of it because indigenous people are supposedly not able to handle their alcohol, and And,
I didn't know that one. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought you didn't. But that's number one.
He said that he hopes the women get ticketed for getting DUIs on the way home. But he must have been able to tell they were native, indigenous people. But his act is that, and I'm not defending him.
His act is banter with the audience within. When the audience becomes a little bit judgmental or says something, he'll be able to come back. He likes that sort of.
And the women could be offended, but the club has to know this is what you're going to see. You're going to see a lion on stage, not. And I'm not.
He told the security not to mess with hecklers. Okay, because when. It's a different attitude. When you're out there on the road, there's certain parts of the country where that sort of boisterous and drunken behavior. These people are out for a good time, and and on their terms, because they're not used to. They're not a sophisticated audience who's going to catch a rising star in Princeton, New Jersey. They're they're people out there in the middle of, I'm not just saying in Canada. There's lots of places in the United States where it's isolated and you have to adapt to those people, and they have certain times that they think that, and certain values that if you don't,
it's verboten to say anything about it.
Right.
But, it says here, one of the women who left the show, who was directly insulted by Voss, said she felt spiritually wounded. Right.
Well, Native Americans are very spiritual. I mean, they have a different way. I know. And it is.
Yeah.
It's prejudiced and. It's not just for the blacks and the Jews anymore. Okay, people have to think of people's weight size now. You have to think of Asian. I can't do. I paid a fortune for that cookie. I mean that. In some ways, that's.
I'm not, and I don't want to be one of those guys who's defending this.
Right,
but
I'm not. But
many
times changed.
These people must not have ever seen him before.
Right,
that's his character. It's like going to see Dice Clay. He's going to say something.
Yeah,
he's going to say something outrageous. I think the club should have billed him as the X-rated, like the pit bull of comedy that you mentioned earlier. I'm not defending. I wouldn't have done it.
Oh no, It's
right.
just.
Right.
It just happens like that,
or what you do too? You make fun of yourself. You don't make anyway. These people,
it was a party of women, and they were getting out of hand even before he got on. And he told the security not to bother him because he wanted to banter with him. He probably had those jokes automatic. What did he say when he left?
Well, as I said here, 30 women got up and walked out. Well, I gotta defend this. He goes, "Go back to your effing wigwams." Like, oh man, forget everything I just said. He shouldn't have said this crap.
You see, you
Good
can't.
God.
You can't push people in like semi-rural or tribal places. You can't push them like you can. If you make a offhanded ethnic joke in a comedy club, around here, most of the time it's not taken. But he sounded like it was a persistent battery of jokes instead of just one. And it talks about a lot of people, who are with them cringing.
Yeah, they weren't used to this hard-assed American guy saying that kind of stuff. And
right,
but it wasn't like Gilbert Gottfried's aristocrat joke after 9/11.
Right.
Hey, you don't do it. I wouldn't do it.
I got in trouble at a reservation. I was playing for the what's the name of the
ones on the casinos?
Winnebagos. Okay, the Winnebagos up in beautiful Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to, I did one or two Native American jokes that I used to do, a left-handed Indian.
And that's harmless, though.
And it was semantics, but even then, I was chastised. But what I did the worst was that the football team, the Packers, are owned by the city. Everybody owns it. So they love this thing. They're crazy up there for it. It's like the nearest thing to Nazi Germany I ever saw in my life is all these people with the Green Bay stuff.
That's all they got.
And, they had in the supermarkets, they had the quarterback made in butter, okay, because it's... and so... I went and the first night I said Captain Crunch and the Green Bay Packers, and they got really mad that Captain Crunch and the Green Bay Packers Captain Crunch belongs in a bowl, and I said that, and they all got real mad. So I went to, of course, when I'm on the road, I go to the Goodwills. I went to the Goodwill and I bought the cheapest jersey they had, okay, and this jersey was a Green Bay Packer jersey. And I'm saying, all right, tonight I'm going to do it. I'm going to be very pro Green Bay and all this. And I come out there on stage, and everybody simultaneously boo, boo. It winds up the shirt that I got, the jersey from the Green Bay Packers. The name on it was a guy who was suing the town of Green Bay, okay, for from ex-player for millions of dollars, okay, and everybody in the entire Green Bay area hated this guy, and here I come out with his jersey, okay, because it was $1 cheaper than Bart Favre or whoever.
Brett Favre.
Brett Favre. But that's a true story, and I got in trouble, and even my light Native American joke, people got mad. and people got mad at my, I try to do things with semantics and do that, but that's kind of mean to say wigwam, back to him, and he should have known better.
Yeah, I know it's weird. He could have involved him in his act, but have him be the brunt of the jokes, right? But hey, it's weird too. Why would I make apologies for him? He did it. He shouldn't have done it. You should know. And number two, the club should have warned them. You guys are in for an X-rated, insult comic. You gotta warn people.
I think they picked up on that because it is a new kind of, okay, the guy made an anti-Semitic joke. A guy made an anti-black joke. But here's something a little bit different now. That Native Americans are sensitive to the, to the stereotype that they are that are thrust upon them.
Yeah, and there's a documentary
which says that we're learning. The people who used to make those jokes, we're learning, and it's been a process.
There's a very neat documentary just came out. It's based on a book too. The guy who wrote that book about the comedians.
Okay, yeah.
Clip, Klassernoff, something like that. It's Kliph, Clip.
Mm-hmm.
But he wrote a great book on comedy and comedians. It's the origin of comedy throughout the United States.
Yeah.
His second book.
I read a couple chapters. It was very good.
I never heard anybody say anything negative about it. But he wrote a second book,
okay.
and a documentary about the influence of Native American comics out there. And here there was a real lot of them, but they're mostly on the West Coast. Like at the same time, like Flip Wilson and Freddie Prinze were on NBC, and other minority community. There was an Indian guy with long, Native American guy, long hair. He passed away of cancer a couple years ago, but he did the Tonight Show.
I think, yeah.
George, something like that, but actually very funny. But here there were several. You just never knew it. But it just in today's climate, like you can make a fool of yourself the whole time, but you can't, And I hear people go, oh well, I gotta. People are being trained. You got to be overly sensitive. You can't make the joke about you.
And it's an isolated sort of thing. It's one show there out there, and I think that the press jumped on it. I mean, is that that really?
Also, too, is this reporter, these women that were offended. I would like to ask the reporter, how did you hear about the story? Did someone email you the story? I like to do a Google search of the women that were offended, and see if they're verbal online about anything they think that's insensitive to them, and they can have a right to be that way too. The Indians suffered a real lot in this world. They suffered. They had their land taken away and everything. They're the ones that have a holy crap. They see it every day. But we got time for this. I got time for this. To change subjects a little bit about disasters on stage. Right? We were talking about the Will Smith, Chris Rock slap.
The slap heard around the world. Yeah.
But there's been other things online that were worse than I thought were like horrible. And I just found one recently. The band Oasis. Oasis.
Oasis.
They're new Beatles, right? Well, in the late 90s, they were getting...
What's one of their song, Oasis?
Today is going to be the day that I'm going to react to you. Bye now.
Okay.
Angry young man.
I get confused
they're famous.
Sometimes with the one.
Today is going to be Wonderwall. You're my Wonderwall.
Okay.
It's a very famous song.
Yeah.
Well,
dirty.
They were abrasive guys.
Uh-huh.
And when they got an award given to them by Michael Hutchence from the famous band In Excess.
Okay, I know In Excess.
He hands them the award for the British Grammy Award. And Noel Gallagher says, oh, look, an award from a has-been to an up-and-comer. He called Michael Hutchence, and then he walked off stage. And it was legendary. It made big news. Like, you just insulted the guy. Big time. And Michael Hutchence wrote a song about him, and it was a big hit. But, I remember before on the American...
Well, being a has-been myself, John, I'm highly insulted about that, okay? And you can tell that guy from In Excess to, I guess that's
can't
what
tell him
happened
anything
to him.
now. But he, I just lost it. Crap, damn it. Keep going. No, but another story was at the American Music Awards, the Dick Clark one.
Yeah.
Sam Kinison introduced Elton John, and Elton John was in the UK. And
Right.
And Sam Kinison was in LA, and he introduced Elton John. And he goes, ladies and gentlemen, Elton John. There I sing. And Elton John said, "Oh, that's great. I'm being introduced by a fat pig." Like, oh, my God.
Well, Sam had that, he had that very homophobic
Oh, yeah.
anti-AIDS monologue that he would do, and that and Elton is part of the community that's ultra sensitive to it.
Oh, I forgot. I remember this one. I remember it happened. It's so much stuff happens. Just gets out of your mind right away.
Right.
When Taylor Swift won the Video Music Award in 2009. That's how long ago this was. And Kanye West went and grabbed it out of her hand and said,
That was like, he should have been banned from that for doing that. I thought that was worse than a slap in the face for to grab something and to grab an award and say that Beyonce should have got it for "Put a Ring on It," which is a great,
it's a great song. Yeah.
I love it. And you could torture me for 3 days, and I couldn't tell you one Taylor Swift song. Okay,
Shake It Off. Shake It Off. Shake It Off. You probably heard everybody's walk by when you're. I'm sure she's pretty and everything, and she's from Pennsylvania, and but it's just it's a little too poppy. I'm a little bit too mature. Well, one of the other famous ones was a couple years ago. It was Warren Beatty and was it Faye Dunaway with him?
Faye Dunaway, Warren Beatty. And and everybody jumped on the wagon by saying, "Oh, look at this senile couple! How can they be up there and presenting?"
Yeah.
You know what it was? They got the wrong one.
Yeah,
it was for somebody else who had another category, and the person in charge, Funkin' Wagnalls or whatever. And it is now, and they got the wrong one, and I said it, and it got a big turnaround. Everybody was embarrassed, thinking that it was dementia or Alzheimer's or something. But they now call it envelope gape. Okay?
Oh yeah,
gate. Like Watergate, but it's envelope gate.
Well, there's another one that people always make fun of.
And I'm going to say for Faye Dunaway, she was something beautiful, and she was. She was good in a couple movies. She was great in, in Bonnie and Clyde and Chinatown.
Yeah.
Network.
Oh yeah. There's a famous one that I think a lot of people talk about it who didn't actually see it. If you see the image they took, the still picture of it, it looks completely idiotic. But it was from the 1989 Oscars Academy Award. In the beginning, Rob Lowe came out and he sang with Snow White.
Right.
And they always make fun of it, but if you ever do actually see it, it was all done as a joke. You could tell it was a joke. It wasn't like serious. Snow White, the character from Disney, walks on stage and she's in Hollywood and she's like, "Look at all the people here," and there's like prostitutes and just the joke was how ridiculous it was that she was actually in Hollywood. And Rob Lowe, they started singing a song and they mock it, but it was made that way on purpose. It was It wasn't.
It was, but people don't get the joke. And I mean, if you watch a lot of, these award dinners, and people don't get the joke unless you hit them over the head. And it was a little bit. They jumped the shark on this one. They say that the 1989 Oscars were the worst ever. Okay, and it's Rob Lowe and Snow White, and they got up there. And they sang a parody of Proud Mary. Big wheels keep on turning about Hollywood. And it was like, schmaltzy. And it was like that. The New York Times, okay, they told Rob Lowe that he should keep his singing in the shower, okay, because he was, that's not his forte. And how he stays so young, look, I don't know. He must have a deal with the, thing. But what happened with all this, the girl never, she had a hard time working. Rob Lowe told her, get out of town quick. And, Walt Disney Studios, okay, sued them.
Oh, yeah, for it. But the very last one I'm going to say right now, we're going to wrap it up right now.
Yeah.
And now,
we'll have next week. We'll have.
And I do believe sometimes some are pre-manufactured controversies. In 1974, David Niven was giving the award out, and a streaker ran across the stage.
An artist streaker. He was an artist.
Then David Niven perfectly delivers a perfectly well-written line, like, "Oh, look, we can see some of his shortcomings." Right?
Yeah.
And I swear that was all pre-planned. I can't believe
he said, well, the guy was an artist.
Yes.
The other guy who did Soy Bomb too for
Soy
Dylan,
Bomb,
he was an artist too.
Yeah.
And these guys, they're out to express themselves and get attention. But that David Niven he said, here's a guy who will never get a laugh in his life unless he strips down and shows everybody his shortcomings.
Yes.
Okay. And
I think that was too well written of a line. There's no ums and ahs and.
Yeah, it was a well-written line, and streaking was something that was very popular then. Okay, according to Ray Stevens, that's why I call him the sheet.
And then Pat McCormick did the same thing that week on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. But we are out of time for this week's show of Kensil Culture.
Kensil Culture, once again, with comedian John Kensil
and the legendary Wid, and you can catch us tomorrow night at the Tower House Brewing Company. Out by Allentown. Check it out on Facebook.
Out by Allentown. That's
Thanks
a
for
Billy
listening.
Joel song. That's a sequel.